Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing this morning? That's great. That's good. Any hooser. Title of market, or title of the video. Market is obviously going up and going long because the VIX broke down. So, real quick, we'll just bring this down here. That yellow line you see on the volatility index, that would be the volatility index breaking down. So this morning it started positive over the 30-minute. This would be the back test of the 30-minute. Small little bounce. And then we just broke down the 30-minute. And the market on the VIX is now bearish as we break down. As a result, you are seeing the market go up. So real quick, when did we break down the VIX? We broke down the VIX. So let's see. We started breaking the VIX below the 30-minute at 7:52 this morning. And as a result, let's see where 7:52 is at here. Whoa, hello. See, 7:52 would be right there, give or take. Alt V. So where that vertical line's at on the chart, that is when the volatility index broke below its 30-minute, essentially giving the green light to, force the market up again. So 7:52 in the morning. Again, VIX did what? VIX broke down. So again, 7:52. VIX breaks down below 30-minute 50 SMA. That causes us in the immediate to look momentum long bias on the market. Why? Because fear is decreasing. So again, 7:52, you got the notification that well, not really, but just VIX breaking down through 30-minute. That means fear is leaving the market. So in real time, we force the market higher. Now, obviously, that has really nothing to do with, looking at levels and price targets and this and that. It's more about understanding when momentum shifts from one side to the other side in real time. So, we'll take a quick step back here. Another way of saying it is if we look at SPX, well, we can look at SPY or SPX, either one, right? So we know when. So we know last week, Friday, today's Tuesday? Wait, hold up. Yeah. Anyways. So last week, Friday, S&P 500, SPX go into an uptrend. So we know the market is bullish. And over the past, week or so, we've gotten a lot of signals from the VIX. So one second, let's do this real quick. VIX 30-minute, here we go. Delete this real quick. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Easy. Good morning, Sam, PD. So real quick, again, over the past week, we know that the market's been in an uptrend, but we also know that the VIX has been fighting that 30-minute. So we've been getting a lot of, if you will, call it false signals of volatility increasing. So we had, here, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 or 7 times where the VIX is arguably breaking over that 30-minute, right? So over the past week or so, what have we seen? VIX trying to break out 30-minute. As a result, what have we also seen? We've seen, numerous of these little pullbacks off high. So pullback off high, pullback off high, pullback off high, etc., etc., etc. That's all that VIX kind of trying to get over that 30-minute. But anyway, so we know market in an uptrend. We also know that just today we started to break the VIX down below its 30-minute, right? So where's that 30-minute? 30-minute 50 SMA right there. So that's where, again, we're talking about that 50 SMA. I'm going to bring this back to a pre-market. And where's that 50 SMA right there? I know that might not make a whole lot of sense, but maybe. But anyways, right there. That's it. That's that 30-minute VIX breaking down this morning right there through the yellow. I'll stop moving the screen so annoyingly. But anyways, that's your VIX breakout. Or we'll break down. Market going up. So, yeah. So that's how you can use the VIX for little mini catalysts, right? So we know we've been in an uptrend for, the past week. So it's like you're not at the start of the uptrend for the S&P 500, right? You'd be late as far as the uptrend is. but you would not be late to the momentum move this morning if you're using the VIX, right? So this would be its own catalyst in itself to restart being long biased the market, even though it's already a week within an uptrend, right? Because that's, well, yeah, that's it. So if you did not get long the S&P 500 last week when it started a buy signal and it's gone up, right? You're like, dang, I want a piece of the action on the upside. This would arguably be where you would have, maybe started taking at least some degree of long bias this morning or long bias play this morning when the VIX broke down a 30-minute, because that in itself is arguably a new catalyst to be long within the stock market's uptrend, even though it started a week ago. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get a coffee. Yeah, sorry about that. Let me bring this back down or over like that. Let's see what's going on with our friend Bitcoin this morning. Pretty much nothing. Pretty much doing the same old, same old. Just kind of holding up to the upside. Our pullback targets and support over under have increased. Obviously, each day that goes on and whatnot, those pullback targets increase. So right now, our current pullback destinations for Bitcoin are going to be down into, I don't know, 119,000 to 100 and basically 117,000, 116.5. So, yep, that's that. Oh boy, man. Yeah, excuse me, sorry. For this day, now going into the open, essentially that volume weighted average price off the low of the pre-market is going to be our trailing support pullback over under. So, excuse me. Man. Yeah. So, anyways, that is that's pretty much that. The VIX broke down this morning, so the market is forcing itself long, as we've already stated, since about 7:52 a.m. Stock market's been in a long bias buying trend since last Friday. We'll remain on the long side of the markets until we're told to do something different, which is not the case for the moment. But yeah, our trailing support over under is going to be that pre-market 30-minute volume weighted average price support, as you see on the screen box. So market pulls back to there, that's normal. If market supports there, that's normal, etc. There was actually this stock SPRB yesterday. that I tried to get long on, but it just wouldn't. Well, basically my enters are kind of would have been unfair, if you will. Maybe I'll do this on a different one, but yeah, so this is kind of a supernova breakout, if you will. Kind of figured it was gonna happen yesterday on the stock, so I tried to get long it later, but just never worked. But yeah, so SPRB. So essentially, yesterday I saw it got halted here, so I put a bunch of buy orders like all throughout. Or was it that one? It might have been that one, but I'll have to double check because it would have updated from yesterday. But so this won't look perfect like it was yesterday because it's kind of updated some, but I'll try to do my best. So that's that. We'll go to the 1 year weekly. But basically, this is a good way for understanding supernova kind of breakout plays. So like right there. Again, this won't be perfect because they've updated since yesterday, but it's good enough. So this was a stock, and I probably should have paid closer attention to this one, but I caught it obviously in the afternoon. So essentially where you see these two yellow lines right here, right, that's +3, +4. So yesterday the stock broke up into the +3, +4 area, which is generally a top. But obviously it didn't hold and it broke out. So now this thing is going supernova, right? So we had a +3, +4 breakout on the stock yesterday. So when that happens, a lot of times they go supernova. So when I saw that it got halted, I put a bunch of buy orders all pretty much down at this like 60s, 50s, you know, somewhere in the 70s, 80s, etc. Generally because if it's a supernova breakout, then sometimes it will, you know, maybe back test it and then keep going, etc. So I try to basically get some entries for that supernova breakout on SPRB yesterday, but never got filled because obviously I placed the orders while it was halted, hoping that when it unhalted it would just kind of knee-jerk down and give me some fills, but nah. So the thing ends up going from 60, 80s, you know, ends up shooting all the way up to a high of 358 last night, so that's kind of a bummer. But this also means that when SPRB gets weakness and breaks down, it's going to target all the way back down to like 80, 100 right now. So anyone buying up at 230s and 358s, etc., if it doesn't just continue, they're going to get waxed down to about 100 or so. But yeah, anyway, so that was a cool stock yesterday, but couldn't get a piece of it, unfortunately. Oh boy. Let's see. Oh no, I don't have it up on 1 second. So supernova, it would have, if I go down to a 1 minute, it would have been the, well, yeah, it started breaking out around like 1220s, 1230s. So somewhere in that area is when I put all my limit orders to buy, but obviously it just opened up after its halt and shot higher, never giving me the opportunity to get filled. And I didn't stick around watching it. Actually, I kind of forgot that I put those limit orders in and just left my computer, so it could have worked out great and worked out terrible. But it's funny because I woke up this morning and all my orders were canceled somehow, so it's like I didn't even cancel my limit orders, but I woke up this morning and they were not even on anymore, so I have no clue really what happened there. But who knows? Or did I cancel them? I might have canceled out the buys, but I don't remember. But either way, it never went to those prices, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. Actually, when did that thing reopen? So reopen around 1 o'clock. I was halted for some time. What day? So Tuesday. All right. That's cool. It should be a pretty casual day. Was it Tuesday? Actually, I kind of didn't even look at the economic calendar. Well, I looked at it yesterday. Was there some Fed speaks and what have you? Or was that yesterday? Tuesday, trade deficit, Fed talks, Fed talk, Fed talk. And then some meetings, FOMC meetings tomorrow. Greener, what's your weekly outlook on SPY, AGE, and or weekly candle? Yeah, I mean, I don't really make assumptions like that. It doesn't really work for me. At the end of the day, I guess I could really care less. I mean, I could guess, but I just don't. Because I learned that I'm just not good at that. I'm just good at following the trends of the market. So, yeah, I have no idea. Whether it be green, whether it finished red. I mean, what did we have, like a doji right now? That's what it looks like. A doji. Yeah. Again, I don't even try to do that. I don't even. There's just no point for me. We just market's positive when it enters an uptrend. I mean, sure, if it enters a downtrend, you're gonna have maybe a red week, but you're going to need, well, I guess it could. Let's see. 30-minute 50 is all the way down here, which is priced at 66979. A week opened up at 671, so 669 is down there. Yeah, you'd have to pull back, obviously, retest the 30-minute, and then go lower for it to finish red. Yeah, I have no idea. Sorry, brother. I wish I was smart enough to tell you that, but I don't. I'm not. And that's the other thing too, is I just generally don't. I just don't think like that. I don't think if this week's gonna be red or this week's gonna be green. I just think of, uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, downtrend. As much as I'd love to, it just doesn't make sense to me to do it. Arguably because I know that I would arguably be far more correct just by saying market's in an uptrend and we're not in a downtrend. Now, does that result in a red week this week, a green week? I mean, you be my guess, but yeah. I wish I knew. Now, I was gonna say, now you are seeing a lot of penny stocks pop up today. Looks like a majority of them are in the healthcare sector, so I'm assuming the underlying healthcare market is where momentum's at today. I actually haven't checked, but let's see if we bring up the sector spider. Let's see, where is healthcare here? 1 day. We might need the day to start. Let's see. Yeah, we'll see how that changes as the day opens, but we are seeing a lot of movement in the healthcare sector, at least in the penny stocks, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, but I'm also wondering if we're just kind of seeing a lot of these penny stocks popping up because of that SPRB move. You had a big supernova go off, so now you're just kind of seeing that momentum trickle around the rest of the market. Yeah, everybody wants the next SPRB, but you don't get many of those a year very often. But what I just showed you is exactly how every single supernova works. Any stock that goes like stupid crazy like that, they all have to break out a +3, +4, and go crazy, which is not as often. Definitely not often. That one's actually looks kind of decent. I don't know, the stock CTXR, little penny stock, that one looks okay. Looks like it just started, well, not really, it started an uptrend about last week, but it did do its uptrend back test yesterday, so there might be some continuation there today. I mean, there's a lot of penny stocks today that have kind of popped up on the radar, and they all look okay. Like INDP is another one. You're gonna need it to stay over 334. It's been trying to do that all morning. LIDR late, NAK late, PRHI. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, not a whole lot to say in this exact moment. We already know what we're kind of looking at. We're looking for, a little bit of a relax off the high and arguably a pullback as far as, volume weighted average price. And of course, we'll see what the market internals look like going into the open, if they support, a move all the way down to there or not, etc. Oh, boy. Oh, man. SNG of goals. Well, kinda. Yeah. That's an interesting one. I must have not obviously missed that one. Dang it. Yeah, I was gonna say ULY. This is what is, again, this is just another, like I said, there's so many stocks that come up throughout the day, you just cannot catch them all, unfortunately. But like ULY was a decent one today, just broke out this morning over the price of 358 and jumped up to, 8, almost 9, so it's about 150x or something. It's kind of interesting. What does that mean? It means the chart. Bitcoin, what's Bitcoin doing? Nothing. SPY, what's that doing? Pretty much same old, same old. Early morning force up long, followed by more likely than not pull back into the open, then look for support later, etc. Oh yeah, sorry, Pete. I didn't even look at that Netflix you were talking about. 1 second. Yeah, so right about the end of the day yesterday, Netflix recovered the 30-minute trend, then into this morning pre-market it back tested, well after hours it back tested. So yeah, that started kind of a long bias trend yesterday around, 1 o'clock, and then right into the close essentially. Yes. For those of you that may just be tuning in, we'll cover the main narrative. Main narrative is that the stock market is in a bullish trend. This morning, the volatility index broke down, which gave us a fresh new catalyst to be long bias the market in the pre-market session. So, number 1, the market is in a macro swing long. Number 2, the volatility index broke down a specific level today at 7:52 a.m., which gave us the green light to re-long markets in the pre-market, hence forcing it up most of the morning. And now we're just looking for arguably a little bit of a relax on the market back down to the red box on the screen, and then arguably staying bullish. There is currently no signals for us to be, swing bearish the market or looking to, catastrophically sell the markets today. Unless that changes, then I don't know, we'll see. But for the moment, that's not the case. So we're macro swing long, intraday long for the time being until stated otherwise. All right, first 1 minute as the market opens. The Mag 7 are currently holding a little on the bull side. All right, let's see. QQQ. All right, market has almost completed its pullback target, pretty much, as we said, right down to about that red box, volume weighted average price of the pre-market 30-minute VWAP, etc. Right now, there is, again, it's the first 1 minute. Don't want to get, too excite anyone, but right now there is, it's kind of mixed. There isn't really a bunch of red selling. There isn't really any green in the market for the time being, etc., etc. But as we said before, your pullback target pretty much complete there on the market. So now we'll probably, again, as long as the market supports over this said level, we'll look for essentially long builds above. So again, it's just pull back down into, and as long as the market maintains above, then we can see it kind of take off like this. Only below we'll maybe shift that bias. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. Ugh. All right, so far market is performing pretty much as expected. It's a long bias market. We were looking for that early morning pullback, pretty much down to volume weighted average prices of our pre-market session, and then to obviously stay long market. So we missed our exact volume weighted average price by about 10 cents, but that's no big deal because obviously from the high, price was 673, pulled from 673.10 all the way to 672.19, so almost a $1 pullback to volume weighted average price as suggested. Then remain long bias for the time being. So far everything working pretty much as as expected. Right now, the Magnificent Seven are holding. They're not really selling. The S&P issues are kind of holding, not really selling. NASDAQ holding, NYSE holding. So far, there's really nothing like really bearish, right? It's all just kind of like meh. Which, of course, you guys could all, watch yourselves if you build these charts same way. But you can see Mag 7, little red, then 3 candles green, little red, little green, little red, little red, little green, little red, little green, little red. So again, it's kind of it's just not super bullish, and it's not, super bearish in that regard right out of the gates as far as momentum. Still, we're long bias overall, guys. It's not, that hasn't changed. You're still overall long bias. I know, super exciting here. I know you wish we were probably just screaming your ear off, but it's not what we do here, not what we do. So right now, the only things really holding the market are the Magnificent Seven. As you can see, everything else is kind of rolled a little bit. So right now, we basically have a situation where the only thing kind of holding up the markets would appear to be the Magnificent Seven, which many times that's the case, so it's not like it's unusual of what we're seeing right now. So as long as the Mag 7 continue to perform here this morning, it looks like markets are going to stay on the upside. Obviously, QQQ is moving a little better than the SPY this morning, you could argue, and that's mainly because the issues on the S&P are not performing that great. Well, I don't want to say they're not performing great, but just look at the screen, right? Again, S&P on the right, NASDAQ stuff on the left, if you will. So these are going up, those are going down, going down, going down, going down, going down. So the only thing propping today's market are pretty much the Magnificent Seven, So essentially, you need those to keep performing well, or else we'll see kind of this market kind of slow down on this high and then maybe even roll over a little bit. But again, it's all dependent on those Mag 7 giving up. So it's not that we want the markets to roll over. It's just that's what would end up happening without performance maintaining there on the Mag. And Mag 7. All right, let's look at the 1 minute here. So obviously, if we kind of roll back down, the first objective will be backtracking the 1 minute volume weighted average price of the low of day, which is pretty much happening right now. So normally we would just do this. We would say, hey guys, for the intraday stuff for, 1 minute, that would be your pullback target, which pretty much is already done. Again, we take the low of day, the start of the day, take the volume weighted average price. Everyone chasing this market long to start, pull it back to their volume weighted average price right there. Now this is where the 1 minute support's got to hold for the higher low to kind of develop and keep building. Otherwise, this is where a stop out takes place, and then so on and so forth. And again, that's all going to be built off the back of what? See how the S&P issues are rolling bearish, right? See how the NASDAQ issues are rolling bearish. NASDAQ 100 rolling bearish. New York Stock Exchange, bottom left, rolling bearish. Volume of the market rolling bearish. And then you see here, it's the Mag 7 that are holding things up. So if these get weakness and roll down, then you're going to see your markets roll over, etc. So that's kind of the way it's positioned right now in the immediate is We're on our 1 minute volume weighted average price support from the start of the day on the S&P 500. So this is where 1 minute higher low development will need to start, arguably, to prevent sort of, a stop out move, if you will. So we'll see. Time will tell. And it's all going to be based off of pretty much those FANG. If those FANG start printing some red candles, then SPY kind of pulls itself to the downside. As you can see, there's that 1 minute little pop, higher low development as expected at the key 1 minute over under from where the day started. Pretty straightforward. That's hilarious. Almost every single penny stock has shit the bed since the opener. Really just kind of sucked. Not the ideal start for the penny world today. Yeah, there is that one that's kind of moving okay. Oh, what is this? Well, that's cool. It just doesn't want to load. That's always nice. What? I don't know what that is. Oh boy. Excuse me. Yeah, again, it's same thing as it's been since the start of this morning. Again, market's in a swing long. We've pulled back to 30-minute price action support, bounced the market. From there, we've pulled the market back down to the 1 minute volume weighted average price support, bounced the 1 minute volume weighted average price support, and now that's pretty much it. Now we need we need the S&P issues to keep bouncing, need the FANG issues to keep bouncing, and the market will essentially stay on the long. That's pretty much it. Now, if we end up stopping out this 1 minute volume weighted average price trend, which I know is kind of maybe a little weird looking on the chart, but let me just clean up some of these arrows. So we've already done the 1 minute back test, 1 minute bounce. Yeah, but pretty much if we end up taking out the 1 minute volume weighted average price zone, that's at that point is where we would look to arguably take the market down a little bit. So if we do end up stopping out this trend, then we'll most likely target previous low and or 30-minute volume weighted average price. Obviously, that's going to have to happen with what? With the Mag 7 here, where my cursor's at. These need to get a little bearish, and as they roll, we should be able to arguably take the market down a little bit. We're not looking for anything huge, unless the VIX is telling us something different, which I'm not currently looking at. Well, the VIX is bouncing a little bit, which is kind of expected. Okay, so we got that. Yep, so for the moment, we are going to arguably look to maybe bring this market down just a hair. But the best case scenario right now would be the volatility index bounces all the way back up to the price of 1645. So we know the VIX broke down this morning pre-market, arguably doesn't have a back test. So worst case scenario right now for longs is that we're going to take the VIX back up to the price of $16.46 to at least back test the 30-minute trend. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm thinking. We can arguably see VIX continue pressing up towards 1646. Unless I'm missing something. Let's see. No, not that one. What about the 1 hour? Let's see, 1 hour. We held, oh, I see. We did hold the 1 hour support there. So 1 hour bounce back to the 30-minute. Okay, gotcha. Oh boy. It's 2 cents plus 23. So, actually, the stock APVO, if anyone's curious, APVO actually pretty decent in the sense of meeting the required. Oh, I forgot to mention too on the VIX. So there's basically two levels that we're interested in. A back test is 1645, or essentially it's going to fail and we're going to come right back down to 1629. I'll explain this a little more here real quick. So you heard me just talk about 1646, and I took a little bit more time to read the market here. So we basically have two levels. So right, I'll show you. I'll delete this. I mean, I know some of you guys are probably trading, don't really care, but ultimately you can see what. So this is the VIX. What do? We came down to the 1 hour. So the 1 hour is what we're supporting right now at 1628. All right. And the 30-minute we just broke down this morning pre-market, that's priced at 1646. So those are arguably the two most magnetable levels here. So when we kind of zoom in, really our two options are what? It's either the market generally is going to bounce the 1 hour up to the 30-minute. If the 1 hour bounce fails, then it's going to revert right back down to 1628. And at which point, if we can get below 1628, that's a 1 hour downtrend start, and that would be a new catalyst for the markets to kind of pick up some momentum. So we're essentially looking for VIX to backtrack towards 1646 / fail this bounce and then move down towards the 1 hour and lower. So those are the two things we're thinking about with the VIX. Obviously, yeah, you guys get the point. You'll see it every single day while you're on the stream. All right, so you see how the Mag 7 has started printing some red candles, and as a result, we're kind of rolling the SPY a little bit. But behind the scenes, we started to bounce the S&P here a little bit, started to bounce the NASDAQ, NYSE, etc., etc. So it's not like everything is working together on the downward move in the immediate. That is what I would say is why it's not aggressive down, right? We're just kind of seeing this lackluster move so far because arguably we don't have participation of selling across every single market in this exact moment. What is going on, Don? How are you, brother? Good to see you. Happy to have you. By the way, guys, we have been doing this every single day at about 9 in the morning live. So if you guys want to join us every day or when you have time, feel free. Real quick, let's just make sure everybody knows the main narrative. Main narrative is the markets are long bias, right? Markets are mainly long bias. Why? Because the market is in a positive trend, and because the volatility index is not positive. Anything that we may discuss bearish is only in terms of intraday real-time momentum that can shift very quickly. But main trend is bullish, all right? All right, so real quick, we're going to bring down the VIX. All right, so you see how the VIX did what? It failed its 1 hour bounce. So where did it sell back down to? The 1 hour trend as defined. So we only had two price targets there to start. One's going to be up to 1646. The other would be a failed bounce of the 1 hour. So the market goes back to the 1 hour at 1627. All right. So arguably, if the 1 hour can get acceptance here and start to break down, then the market should do okay. We'll see. It depends what the market internals do. Like I said, A lot of times that market operates off the Magnificent Seven as well. So what we see here, again, is we don't have, I mean, we need the Mag 7 to kind of pick up their kind of lackluster day. A little long and then just kind of stalled out. So you're not getting super long bias movement right now. Okay. Granted, we also have FOMC meeting minutes tomorrow. So we'll see. Sometimes when you have big, data coming up, sometimes the markets are just kind of slow leading into them. Oh, thanks, Doug. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we do appreciate the likes, the subscribes. I mean, being realistically, that's what YouTube likes. That's the only way that the algorithm can kind of, I guess you could say, gauge gauge the videos or the streams. Again, guys, it's no big deal. We're just here doing this for fun at this point. Just taking 10, 11 years of watching the markets every day and then just presenting them to you guys the way we see it. The objective is to essentially provide foresight analysis, or a decent idea of what's going to happen before it happens and why things are moving. Really, the whole objective of our stream is to make sure that investors and traders that tune into our stream are, have less questions, right? That's pretty much the main objective. All right, so again, we still have the markets moving lower here, kind of as we have it drawn on the screen. Not that I expected it would move exactly like that, but sometimes it happens like that. Again, not a ton to say here. Again, you can pretty much understand everything that's happening in the market if you just take the time to set this screen up like I have here. Well, that's one of the things, right? So you guys can read this screen. What do we see, right? This is like what's that saying? Yeah, trust people not by their words but by their actions, right? So this would be looking at the market's actions, not its words, right? So you'd be coming in here, so trying to trust the market based off of its words would be like reading news articles from CNBC or Reuters or Fox News or Fox Business, right? You go there, you read articles about the market, but that's not really what its actions are. Its actions are what's happening in real time behind the scenes, and that's this screen you're seeing, all these 6 charts. There's more of them that you can watch other than these ones, but these are the ones that I have picked and I like. But what do we see? We see pretty much most of the action is down, right? There's some bounces, there's a little this, there's a little that, but most of it's just kind of lackluster down. So that tells us since the open today, equities are not really getting bought, right? So what's the action look like on the day? The action looks like what you're getting, kind of a lackluster bounce and then a rolling over short. Why do we have a lackluster bounce? Because the biggest market cap stocks this morning, as you see where my cursor's at, they bounced a little bit and then they rolled, right? So that's pretty much the pattern you're seeing in the market. You have a little bounce and then a roll, right? So again, you don't necessarily have to, go on your screen and do this. This is not what you need to do. You don't need to go, oh, well, this was a high here, so we're going to take this, and we're going to draw a trend line like that, and then we're going to go back here, and then we're going to take this bottom, we're going to draw it, and then when it breaks down here, then the market's bearish. No, the market's been bearish since the open, essentially. There's only been a little bullishness, right? So you don't need to draw 6,000 different trend lines just to identify that things are bearish or there's a bearish pattern, right? The market will tell you. It's telling us right now. All right, it's not that bullish, all right? Also, another thing to think about, which it's always this is, right? So we're on what? We're on the 1 hour on the VIX. So what's that mean? That means the VIX is literally sitting on 1 hour trend support over under, has not broken down. So look at that right there. Okay, let's delete this weird stuff here. All right, where's the VIX? It's sitting on the 1 hour right there. So the VIX is failing to break down, right? It's failing to break down its 1 hour. We already broke down the 30-minute, right? So we already did what? We already did the 30-minute breakdown to the 1 hour trade. That's a very common strategy and setup that you will see. Whenever the 30-minute breaks down, we look to take the markets down to where? The 1 hour. So this morning, what did you have, right? You had this. This was your 30-minute went positive, 30-minute back test, 30-minute small bounce, 30-minute breakdown, 30-minute sells off to 1 hour, 1 hour back test, 1 hour recover bounce. Now that's a 1 hour back test on the bull side. So for the markets to kind of pick up steam to the upside, we'd want to see the VIX obviously go down, which would mean it have to be breaking down the 1 hour. Otherwise, the 1 hour gets supported, and that's just, like I said. So we've done the 30-minute breakdown. We've done the 30-minute sell-off to the 1 hour. We've now recovered the 1 hour. We've now back-tested the 1 hour. Now the 1 hour is basically our over-under, right? While the market supports the 1 hour, we don't really expect the markets are going to fire off extremely long bias. If we start to break down the 1 hour, then we're going to be looking for the markets to kind of bounce a little bit, etc. So right now, what are we doing? We're just doing the 30-minute volume weighted average price, probably, double bottom, attempt of support. Ready, watch, ready. Take a VWAP, throw it on the low. Where's the market? Right there. Bing, bang, boom. So right now, we're just doing our pre-market 30-minute volume weighted average price, back test, support, hold, etc. Where's our 30-minute VWAP support over under? It's that green line. So again, that was our support level from the pre-market. So in the pre-market session, hours before the market opened, this was VWAP support over under. We drew no trend lines. We did not think about what Jerome Powell was saying to find support, right? So think about that. That support level has been picked for 4 hours, right? And when we say support level, it's market is bullish, pulls back towards bounce, pulls back towards bounce, and as long as it's above, then we don't have one of those breakdowns in the market, right? This is just pulling back to pre-market trend support. That's it. There's your bounce. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. How'd that happen? Well, because again, we literally watch this every single day for 10 years. We rinse and repeat everything. So does it always work perfect? No, but there you go. There's your bounce. This bounce on the market, even though it only went from 672.06 to 672.44, I mean, that could be a price increase on the market of, say, $200 billion. The market, well, maybe not. Haven't done that in a while, so my calculations could be off. But this right here could be a 20 million, 30 million, a $500 million increase in market cap from that support. So though, your profit might, who knows, maybe it was $10, maybe it was $30, maybe it's $100. Regardless, there may have been a 300 million, market cap increase by using that support on the market for a second, but I'd have to sit down and basically use ChatGPT to tell me because it's smarter than I am, but I could figure that out if I wanted to. Also, what's happening in real time on the volatility index? So we see what? Watch, see how the market comes down into VWAP support over under. We bounce it. What's that do? It creates the lower high in the VIX. Then what? Then the VIX does what? It breaks down the 1 hour. So now the market's getting a little bit more of an aggressive pop because also computers recognize that the VIX just broke down the 1 hour. So now instead of the VIX holding the 1 hour trend as support, we just broke it down. And that's another reason why this long is getting a little bit more aggressive, right? You can even tell that this long move from this low is a little bit more bullish than the initial long at the open, right? And I would just kind of categorize that as that in real time, you had this little candle break down the 1 hour on the VIX, and that's causing algorithms and computers in real time to be a little bit more aggressive on buying that bounce up, right? Now remember, with every breakdown, you usually need a back test. So again, with the 1 hour breaking down, either the VIX just sells off and then the market blows up, or vice versa. This is going to do what? It's going to go back test the 1 hour. As a result, usually the market would stall. So if we go for the immediate back test of the 1 hour, this long tops out here, stalls out while we press the VIX back to that 1 hour breakdown, which is that yellow line. Okay. Also, you could be anchoring 1 minute volume weighted average prices to this low and looking for pullbacks and 1 minute micro support trends here. So we pretty much expect there's a good chance market's going to pull back down into that box there. Whether we pull back sooner or it becomes later, we'll see. But and let me just double check. I mean, yeah, I don't really see a structure break there, so it would make sense. But anyway, so that's pretty much the 1 minute micro pullback target, etc. If we pull it back down to here, we would assume maybe the VIX calculates, and you see how the candles are going green, looking for that 1 hour back test. So there's your micro 1 minute pullback target complete. Now we'll see as we transition to the next 1 minute if the computers and high frequency trading algorithms hold support. We have 15 seconds until the next 1 minute candle. So if this is going to hold support, arguably it's going to take place as we transition into the next 1 minute candle. If algorithms want it to be green, they'll pop the next candle green. All right. There's your back to, oh wait, hold on. Here's your back test on the VIX to the 1 hour. See how we took the VIX back to the 1 hour there? Ding, ding, ding. Pretty obvious, pretty straightforward. All right, so we're into the new 1 minute candle. They wicked the previous one. This one's still red. We'll see if they change it green. I don't know. We'll see. What are the market internals saying? Hold on. Market internals are still all pretty much shit. So, again, it's just a lackluster market today. Pre-FOMC meeting stuff. Again, like I said, this is probably a day where the market's not going to really let anyone get away with too big of a move a lot of times. Whenever you're pre-CPI, pre-FOMC, pre-meeting, sometimes things can slow down. Not always, but, All right, so what happened here? You see the VIX, see how we broke down the 1 hour, then we went for the back test. Now the VIX is no longer below the 1 hour, etc. So the 1 hour breakdown would fail there, right? We know that the 1 hour breakdown was right here. So we broke down, right? So what's going to happen? Either the market breaks down, keeps going, right? Or it's going to do what? It's going to backtest. Markets only go one of two ways. They go down or they go up. That's it. All you got to know is where the levels are that are either breakdowns or breakouts, and know that if it breaks out, it's going to keep going. If it doesn't, it's going to backtest. So right there, we had a breakdown, a backtest, failed to stay below. Now the 1 hour is back to positive within a couple minutes, right? That's how quick things can change in the market. Again, really, like we said, you and I do not control the market. We don't control anything. Computers, high frequency trading machines, all that controls the market. When they want something to move, they'll move it. But these levels that we watch are where they start those moves, right? And it's our job to follow it. So far what we've seen is 1 hour positive, 1 hour back test. 1 hour try to bounce, lower high, 1 hour breakdown. Now 1 hour back test. Failed to hold below, now 1 hour positive. That's everything that's happened this morning. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Ain't not what I wanted to do. So there is, that's how you read the markets in real time and pretty much know with a high degree what's going to happen before it happens. If you guys would like to use this information to trade for yourselves, feel free. If you would like to use this information just to sit back and have fun, feel free. If you'd like to use this information to realize that CNBC and Fox News and all those things generally have zero clue what they're talking about, feel free. Again, we're still at the 30-minute VWAP support over-under. There's no breakdown in the market for today. VIX isn't really doing anything that suggests mega selling. Markets, as far as market internals, on the other hand, do suggest a little bit of selling, but it's the Magnificent Seven that have failed to really go negative. That's why markets aren't really getting cooked today, is the way I would read that. If we look at too, also look at this really real quick. Again, remember, there's pretty much selling in every market besides the Magnificent Seven. Okay, so if those change, that would be bad, right? So if we go look at QQQ, you'll see that QQQ is doing more of this sideways trading action today, kind of, if TradingView ever loads. All right, so you see how the pattern of QQQ is up, down, up, kind of slightly choppy grind up, right? Look at the Magnificent Seven pattern, right? So if we zoom in here, look at the pattern on the Magnificent Seven, right? What is it? It is up, down, kind of a choppy sideways up grind, right? So what is the result? Look at your QQQ. It's almost the same exact pattern. So you know exactly why the QQQ is doing what it's doing today. It's no question, right? But if you go and look at the rest of the market, we'll just look here on the S&P. So now look at the S&P 500 issues. Just straight down, right? Just straight down today. Now let's go look at the pattern of the S&P. It has a closer relationship, right, to that pattern. Right? So look at the QQQ, or sorry, look at the SPY going down. Look at the S&P issues going down. So again, we don't have a really bullish market today, all right? Also, what's happening? See how the VIX has recovered the 1 hour, so the 1 hour trend is now back to positive, which is obviously more bearish for the market. Look at your market, obviously going down the past 5 minutes as the VIX goes up the past 5 minutes. You look at your market internal issues, you see that there is nothing bearish on the S&P 500, so you know Why would I be long biased? Well, you might be long biased for the VWAP support over-under trade we talked about, but aside from that, really the momentum is not extremely long biased. Oh, by the way, this is what? This is where you would probably do what? Start anchoring volume weighted average prices to this previous high. So we're going to do that. We're going to take volume weighted average price. We're going to anchor to the previous high. And then we're going to look for counter retraces into said VWAPs on the screen that I put. And then we had a false bottom in here. So we're going to anchor there. So right now, our expected retrace zone based off the 1 minute is like that. And so that means as long as the market maintains below that, immediate 1 minute momentum is still bearish, right? Obviously, we can see what? VIX is on the 1 hour breaking up and out. Looks like the QQQ and the Magnificent 7 started to maybe put in a red candle there, some red. Actually, no, surprising. But we do just have a lot of selling on everything else. Oh boy, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful day it has been. One thing I have noticed on our YouTube channel so far is that we do not have any bots in the chat. That's a good thing. No bots in the chat. Beautiful day for the crash. I agree. Market hasn't crashed even anything. Market is a no crash, me frenzy. What are we down? Market's not even red today. Well, yet. Could go red, but not even red yet. Markets only crash when they enter selling operations. Everything else is seen as a pullback. Again, guys, looking at the VIX, what do we know? The VIX has really two options here. Well, hold on. Well, yeah, two options. Walt, what's going on, brother? Sorry, I'm obviously being stupid right now. Hold on. Yeah, so ready? Look at here. I'll show you. Well, of course I'll show you. See where the 30-minute is? Where's the 30-minute? 30-minute is here. Price at 16.46. So what do we know? We know what? We know that all said and done, the VIX has held the 1 hour. So the market only has two options here on the VIX. What are those two options? Well, the two options would be if the VIX did what? If the VIX is supporting, and I call this a bounce and a breakout. For me, it's the same thing. Anytime the market is over any trend, I call it a breakout, if you will. Even though you could say it's just a bounce, I don't know, whatever, right? So what do we know? Whether you want to call this a bounce or a breakout is irrelevant to me, right? So we have what? We have the 1 hour, right where I'm looking. So the 1 hour is bouncing. Or even call it the 1 hour broke down and then the 1 hour broke out. So now what? It can either what? Go up or it can go down. Where is it going to go up to? The 30-minute. Where would it then go down to? The 1 hour. So after breaking out the 1 hour, again, there's only two options. Price goes up or price goes down. Where's it going to go to? Most likely, it would either fail its bounce, fail its breakout, revert back to the 1 hour, or it's going to continue up to here. All right. So those are the two magnetable price points for the VIX right now. All right, our expected counter retrace for the S&P 500 has just hit target T1. Obviously, for the micro chart to continue higher right now, it would have to get through T1, which is just the start of that box. So I will draw what you could maybe assume here is obviously if we start to get above, then the price jumps up into the next level of VWAPs generally. All right. Usually you won't find resistance in between. It's either going to be at the start here, or you'd break through here, and then it would jump straight to the next set of VWAPs, and then that would be your next micro resistance level. And that, ladies and gentlemen, again, is basic foresight analysis, where you take previous price action of the market, you basically are taking your previous traders in the market, finding their volume weighted average price, and then going and attacking it so that they are either stopped out, they get annoyed, etc. The objective of the market is basically to go up and down and screw people over, and that's objectively what we just did there. For anybody who chased the short on the downside, we popped them out. For anyone who got short somewhere along this move, they're all on edge as we bring them back up to their VWAPs. Again, very basic stuff, all repeatable pretty much every single day of your life. You know what? Just for the giggles of it, I'm gonna see if CNBC has any job openings on their news anchor sites, so I can just sit here and just stream from CNBC all day. Just out of curiosity, let's see if they got any anchor positions open. That would be kind of fun. Again, there's your little 1 minute micro pullback. Obviously, you guys already know if you take a VWAP and you add it to this previous low, that's where your pullback target of that will be. Why? Because that's just how the market works already. We're going to go anchor low here on the bottom candle along with the split candle, and that's where they're creating the 1 minute micro higher low. So you see here, like that, that's where your 1 minute micro higher low is at, and then you see how we just jumped up price action above VWAP to next VWAP zone. There would be the full 1 minute volume weighted average price back test complete. And there you have it, foresight analysis. How is it even possible? It's mainly luck, but and like 0.001% skill, honestly. It's really not even, it has nothing to do with me. It only has to do with everyone who is just trading, right? If everyone in the market did not sell the market down like this, we would not have volume weighted average prices there. Therefore, there would be no reason to go back to there in that regard. But since everyone in the market decided that this was a good time to sell the market, you know, people created bearish, and as a result, we create volume weighted average price levels about there. There's your back test. Job well done, folks. Job well done. I know you wish it was more confusing. You wish it was more complex. You wish there was more questions, but sometimes there isn't. Ding 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 ding. That's me creating the sound of money, or you know, like a casino machine. Oh, by the way, this just means we're probably jumping up to the 5 minutes. So, not that I talked about this real quick, but generally speaking, anytime. Well, actually, 1 second. Why does this look weird? Hold on. Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was going to say, once we take out 1 minute, we generally move more towards the 5 minute. But in this case, the 1 minute and 5 minute are so close, there's really not much of a difference. So I'll go back to the 1 minute now. And so again, that little mini box up here is the 5 minute. So it's pretty straightforward. If you take out 1 minute, you generally are looking at a 5 minute next, and so on and so forth, right? So now this is the 5 minute volume weighted average price. So if the 5 minute traders from this high don't want to get stopped out, or this would be a 5 minute lower high location, etc. We've already back tested one. There's so much I could always talk about in the micro, because it's just constant repeat over and over and over. But so yeah, that's that. Obviously, you guys already know where the market's pulling back to. Ready to take a VWAP, move it to the previous low. And the market's pulling back to pretty much right about there. Done. You know, sometimes it's just too much fun. Just watching candles go up and down to where you say they're going to go to. Again, guys, this is not me. This has nothing to do with me. This has all to do with all of the people that participate in the market. Our objective is to look at what someone was just doing, figure out their pain, and then go there. That's basically the objective of the market almost every single day. What is this? What are we looking at here? This is the 1 minute volume trend from the low. So everyone that's been buying this up, they're pretty much all stopped out. And if we start to take that out, they almost certainly all stop out. But again, that's the 1 minute volume trend, so we still got to get through that. If the frequency trading computers want to hold it, this is where they'll kind of hold it for a second. We'll see. How much time do we have left? We have 20 seconds left on this 1 minute candle. So if this doesn't just randomly break down on this candle, they'll arguably hold it till we get a new 1 minute candle, at which point they might do a little green candle hold here and then back test the golden pocket of the previous 1 minute, etc., etc., etc. If this ends up becoming support, all right, we're going to anchor previous high. Same jam as always. And we're going to do what? We're going to look for what? A back test of the previous 1 minute volume weighted average price. So now the current pop target would be, like right there. So basically what's going to happen? Market either goes down or it goes up. If it keeps breaking down, doesn't really matter to me. But this is our 1 minute trailing VWAP resistance off high now. Okay, and now we're battling the 1 minute volume weighted average price off low. So do the 1 minute traders from the low stop out before we go up and back test VWAP? Whatever, right? That's the only option. There's only two options there right now. And now when I say, well, is it going to break down? Is it going to do this? Is it going to do that? I mean, again, you just look at the market internals. What market internals saying, that pretty much everything is, for the most part, bearish. So, again, we don't really have a ton of bullish stuff right now. Either way, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. You guys get the point. Bitcoin is now down to 1,000. I wish it was down to 1,000. Well, not really, because then my portfolio would be getting absolutely cooked. Oh, but again, Bitcoin, like we said earlier this morning, and we said for the past week, what are the pullback targets on Bitcoin? Does anybody remember the pullback targets? You know what? I'm just going to wait. We'll see if somebody here knows the pullback targets on Bitcoin. So, whoever wants to be the first to 60K. Well, yeah, arguably 60K. What's the shorter term pullback target? That's more of a longer term pullback target. Actually, right now it's like 53K, not 60K, but it'll probably end up being 60K in the future anyway, so. But yeah, if anyone cares to answer what the pullback targets are in Bitcoin, that would be great, because I don't know. I want to hear from you guys. I have no idea what's going to happen. I need your help. You have to tell me. Connor doesn't know anything. Actually, generally speaking, the wisest man knows nothing, so just remember that one. The wisest man for knows nothing. Don't be shy now. Remember, things can only go up and down, so you're already at a 50% odds of being correct. Dang, no one can figure it out. That's crazy. I'll give you a hint. Does anybody know the pullback targets for Bitcoin right now? Finally, let's go. Yes. 117,000 to 119,000. Yeah. You win. You win the joke of the day from ChatGPT. So let's go to ChatGPT, and I'm gonna have him make us a joke, and now that's for you. Give me a joke of the day. What? That's kind of a morbid one, but I like it. I do have the paid version of ChatGPT. There's your joke of the day. Here's your joke of the day. Why don't graveyards ever get overcrowded? Because people are dying to get in. So funny. But I do use the premium version. Do I really need it anymore? I don't know. I was kind of using it mainly when we were kind of building our website and needed more help. Connor, I use IBIT for my Bitcoin proxy, looking at the 69 zone. Not that. So for me, PD, even as it relates to IBIT, pretty much any other proxy of any sort of vehicle, whether it's IBIT, MSTR, BTC, or well, what was the other one? Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC. Yeah, pretty much any of those proxy vehicles, I just use the Bitcoin market to analyze them. Because, again, if they're mainly Bitcoin oriented, they're pretty much going to follow the price of Bitcoin. Not always the case. Like, for example, you can see MSTR doesn't always move exactly the way it should as it relates to Bitcoin. But for me, it's always about what's Bitcoin doing for those. So for me, it's less about the 69 zone on IBIT. It would be more about the 120,000 to 117,000 area on Bitcoin, right? If we are able to pull Bitcoin back here, then I would assume what's going to happen with IBIT. IBIT will go bearish. So instead of being long IBIT right now, thinking that we can come down to here, I would wait to be long IBIT. And if we move into here, and this is where I think support can be, I would be more inclined to get long IBIT when Bitcoin's here. Because if we high or low it and it goes up, then we'd assume the appreciation of IBIT goes up. So I don't really look at those guys and try to analyze those. I really just look at the Bitcoin market and analyze that. So is the 69 zone good? Maybe. I would say whatever price IBIT is at when Bitcoin finds its next kind of support and pullback, then that's the price you should be interested in, I guess. Okay, maybe that was a bad joke. Let's do an uplifting joke. We need an uplifting joke. That's kind of a dirty joke. We can't do that one. PG joke? That's a good one. There you go. All right, we'll go back to the market. I don't know what's going on there, but it's probably just moving up and down, back and forth. Volume weighted average prices as per usual. Oh my gosh. Do you guys see what happened while I was not telling you what was already going to happen? So what did? We took the VWAP of the previous high, anchored it down, said, oh, look at little Poppy Magoo back into the lower high. There you go. That's done. There's more. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. There you go. All right, we're going to take VWAP, anchor that one there, and we're going to take VWAP, anchor that one there, and we know that the next counter pop is going to be into that level right about there, unless there's a false bottom prior to, but that's it. So now it is counter popped in, continue down, or eventually reverse and go up. Again, things go up and down. Eventually, sometimes trends change. But, yeah. Is SPRB doing something crazy? No, it's doing nothing. SPRB, same story. SPRB right now, pullback targets are about like 80. It just needs to basically go into a downtrend. So if we show you what's going on here with SPRB, wait, no, SPRB. All right, so SPRB is, we'll go to a 1 minute. So if you look at SPRB, it's not even a downtrend on the 1 minute. So the last breakout on the 1 minute was yesterday, pretty much when it blew up, right? Now we're trading sideways. It's not even in a 1 minute downtrend, right? So first and foremost, before this thing really kind of, well, there's a drop out to the 1 minute trend, right? So now we're on the 1 minute trend. So that would be the start of a 1 minute downtrend, arguably. But 1 minute downtrends usually aren't, really what we look for the markets to get, absolutely cooked. So that's a 1 minute. So we essentially just back tested the 1 minute, right? Now what's going to happen next is if we break down the 1 minute, we normally start looking to, well, it would be a 2 minute and then it would be like a 3 minute. So let's see where the 2 minutes at. 2 minutes all the way down here. So I'm just going through moving average time frame. So that would be the next target is like the 2 minute. And then next would be a 3 minute. But really more importantly, it would be a 5. So the 5 minutes all the way down here. So what's going to happen? Is the market going to sell all the way down to here? Or is the market going to kind of do this and do that and do this and do that while this catches up? Most likely chop around something weird and then this is going to catch up. All right. And we would really expect that, generally speaking, we're looking for SPRB to backtrack the 30 minute, which is all the way here. All right. So whether or not SPRB wants to crash all the way down there, or if the 50 SMA wants to come up and meet price, that's what we're looking for. So essentially we have SPRB would most likely, if this is just, too much hype, is going to fall back to about $80 or so. 180, that's kind of usual target. If this is truly hype, FOMO, blah, 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 it's going to do that, right? And then as it comes back down to the 30 minute, that's where we may look for one of those oversold bounces. I know I'm just drawing a bunch of random stuff on the screen, but yeah. So, like we said before, SPRB just got to its 1 minute level. So for the 1 minute to remain down, it now needs to do what? You've already seen it, ready? Look at this. This is a 1 minute chart. Where did the 1 minute go bearish? The 1 minute broke down here. So what's it going to do? Either the 1 minute stays down, or what? Or it back tests. Where's the back test? Right there. Doink. So what you just saw in a 1 minute is the same thing that's been happening on the 30 minute VIX, the 1 hour VIX, etc. Remember, it's the same exact thing no matter what equity, what stock, what time frame, etc. 50 SMAs work in the same exact manner. They dictate uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, downtrend. Stocks can only go up and they can only go down. If it enters a downtrend, it has to keep going down, or what? Then it backtests. And if it backtests, it has to stay below X level, or else what? Then it'll be positive. So you basically saw a little 1 minute downtrend break back to a back test, etc. So now the 1 minute over under would be right there. Oh boy. Oh no, little Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, the market, sorry. Little market Magoo. So with that drop, what do we assume? We probably assume the VIX went up. Where'd the VIX go? Does anybody remember what the long target was for the VIX? Does anybody remember? Remember, I'll bring it up. I know you guys probably forgot. Remember we said there's only 2 price points the VIX will go to. If it breaks over the 1 hour, it does what? It goes to the 30-minute, which is the yellow above. Or it does what? It back tests its breakout. There's your back test. There's your support hold and higher low, and there's your move to your 30-minute. Again, guys, the system is repeatable every single day, probably for the end of your life. Or, again, as I always say, until the humans decide to use nuclear weapons and kill us all, and the stock market, or until the Lord and Savior comes, the Messiah, then these systems are going to repeat forever. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is, essentially how you predict where and how and what have you the price of the volatility index before it happens. Again, because things can only go up and things can only go down. And when you find those moving averages that markets like to move in between and to and from, then you'll find yourself doing what I just did on the screen, saying, well, market can go up to here, 1646 in the VIX, and then you're not surprised, because, again, that's just how the market operates. Speaking of, let's see, is there any, let's see. Obviously you guys can see VWAP's down, anchor. We had a false one in there. So this is where the market's just running itself down. You had a false bottom in there, and then you had a breakdown there. And so it just so happens that sometimes this is the way the VWAP game works. And instead of retracing, they force down. So now our counter retraces are as high as that box. Now, do remember, right? Where's the market now on the VIX? Back to the 30-minute. So let's go to the 30-minute chart. So look at this, ready? See that? That's exactly it. This is how computers think. If-then statements, right? If VIX is positive over 1 hour, go to 30-minute. Then if 30-minute breaks out, continue to sell market. Now remember that this is still a back test, right? Because, oh, hold on. This is letting this slow down. So remember we broke down the 30-minute yesterday. We bounced the 1 hour to back test the 30-minute. So this is arguably first resistance check. So if we have resistance here and the market sells off a bit, then what's going to happen? We're going to start to bounce the market here. And the first thing we'll do is retrace those 1 minute volume weighted average price zone. So that's basically what the market is working on, is are we going to resist the 30-minute trend and stay negative on the 30-minute? If so, market bottoms and bounces. All right. Vice versa is the 30-minute actually breaks out, momentum does pick up, and we'll continue to sell the market here, right? So, like we said before, just kind of one of those things. We don't control the market. We just kind of have the expectations of what can happen. So, again, there is our first tag at 30-minute SMA algorithmic level. First tag pullback resistance. Use that to take the market back long and back test the volume weighted average price trends of all of the traders that were betting bearish here, etc., etc., etc. There's your resistance at the 30-minute. How did we know that that could be a potential? Because that's just the way the game works. How many times today did you guys see me go like this? Take trend line this way, trend line that way, look for head and shoulders pattern, look for cup and handle pattern, look for little bull flag pattern, 0. Not once. I used to, and then I realized I was an idiot. All right, those are harsh words. Okay, I didn't realize I was an idiot. I just realized I was misled by the entire stock market industry. That's all. Now what? Now what, guys? Now it's all about whether or not the VIX ends up breaking out or if this maintains resistance. If this maintains resistance, what's going to happen? VIX stays negative, sells down, and we're going to target back down to 1625. If we break out, then I'll figure that out later. But for now, we haven't broken out, so I'm not looking really up in the exact moment. So again, really, it's just bearish off the 30-minute, bounce the market. If the 30-minute stays negative and does a full-blown rejection, then we sell the market on the VIX back down to the 1 hour. The first things that we would do off the 30-minute would be retracing the 1 minute. So we can see where the 1 minute is at. 1 minute's down here. So first objective would be, if we're not going to break out, go higher, right? So it can either go up or go down. So if we're not going to break out the 30-minute, we're going to resist the 30-minute, then we're going to have a pullback. And if we're going to pull back, where are we going to pull back to? All of the most recent uptrends. Where did the 1 minute start up? The 1 minute started up here. Where would be the 1 minute back test? Here. So if we're going to have resistance and it's going to pull back and not break out, first pullback target would be 1 minute. And then you would say, is there a different uptrend there? Nope. 5 minute. Nope. So it's just 1 minute and or back down to the hourly. And if we did actually break out, then we would look at the 10 minute and the 15, 5 to 10. Yeah, so the breakout targets for the VIX would be up to 1658, and then the 15, which is here. So our breakout targets for the VIX are going to be into 1655 and 60 almost. That is only achievable with a basically a 30-minute breakout. I'm gonna delete some of this randomness here. Oh, sorry. Now remember that volatility really only picks up on the VIX when we break the 30-minute out. So like I said before, it's the 30 minutes our main trend we're always focused on. As you can, oh my gosh, look at that. Where did the market pop back to? And then where did it have resistance? Right where we pretty much expected, into the volume weighted average price zone. Now this one was a little tricky because there were so many untested VWAPs that it's not like you're just looking at one or two, you're looking at a multitude of it. But anyways, so look at how aggressive that swing to the downside is, and look at what's happening in real time. In real time, the VIX is doing what? The VIX is coming up through that 30-minute trend. And what does that mean? That means fear is increasing. Now, that's only like one candle through it, so it's not the best description when it's just 1 minute, but you guys know if the VIX breaks up and breaks out the 30-minute, that is fear increasing. If fear increases, what do? We drive markets lower, right? So again, just another one of those days where the market's just, I don't want to say market's playing games. It's more or less the VIX is kind of doing that back and forth shimmy. Let's take a look at SPX. How far are we off from our 30-minute? We still got... All right, so at this point, there's a good chance the market's... Like I said, if the VIX breaks out the 30-minute, we're just going to see the SPX sell down to its 50. SPY's probably going to sell down to its 50. So right now, our maximum downside targets for today will be the 50 SMA with a successful breakout on the VIX. Generally, that's my rule. If the VIX breaks out the 30-minute successfully, we're going to drag the markets lower. I will take the markets as low as the 50 SMA on the SPX and the SPY. off the back of a VIX break. So you see how there's room down to the SPY's 50 SMA and the VIX is on the 50 SMA? We essentially need volatility to break out. And if so, we will then run the market down to here. Vice versa, VIX is going to top out here and then the market ends up kind of bottoming kind of thing. So like we said before, the main thing right now is this VIX 30 minute, right where we're at. So we're just basically watching VIX, and again, like we said, if it gets acceptance above, market goes down to 50 SMA. If we end up resisting here, which is totally normal, then we're just going to see the market kind of bounce a little bit. Obviously, you guys already know the 1 minute backtrack levels. Just repeat everything we've been doing all day on the screen. Ready? We're going to take what? We're going to take volume weighted average price. We're going to anchor to this high. And then we're also going to anchor to the most recent candle that really broke down. And our counter retrace level is what? Right to there, which is pretty much completed already. Which is also the previous low breakdown, blah, blah, blah. Did we crash yet? No, we have not crashed yet. We've only pulled the market back, not even to support. I mean, if you guys go look at the market internals, you're going to obviously see what the market is not performing good. It actually, where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, market no perform very well, right? You can see, look at the entire market. The only thing that's doing okay today are a handful of the Mag 7 stocks. Other than that, look at the entire market. It's just down, down, down. So pretty much since the open, we have mentioned a couple little long tradable areas while the overall momentum for the day is down, while still being in a swing long environment. So markets are still swing long. They're not going long on this day. We're currently pulling the market back for reasons which we've explained probably, 37 times today. But yeah, just simple, pretty straightforward. Again, markets are just pulling back. Oh. Gotta say, it's pretty. It is nice not having any bots in the channel on our stream. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but kind of don't want it to. Oh no, Isa, VIX is pulling. It is pulling back from its resistance. 1647, pull back, counter pop 2, 1 minute volume weighted average price. Job well done. How do we know? Oh my gosh, crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. There are some jobs actually at CNBC. I don't know exactly what's available, but if they would allow me just to sit in my office and do this all day, live, are you kidding me? I'll do it for free. Don't even have to pay me, literally. I think I'm going to honestly apply and then lowball myself and ask for like a median income of like $1 an hour and see if they go for it. I'll work for free. You just give me healthcare. I'll work for free. Wait a second. I don't know what this is, but this seems media group functions. Global streaming product analytics. Let's see. Oh yeah, I guess that is a thing. All right, I'll take minimum wage. I forget about that as a law. Kid knows how to look at a market, doesn't know the minimum wage law. Anyways, there's your pullback resistance off VWAP. Again, that's how you, to some degree, can predict where 1 minute lower highs are going to be in the market. But anyways, cheers. Another counter trade target resistance level mapped off before it happens. Again, pretty basic stuff. Really nothing new here. You guys already know what to do. What are you going to do? Take VWAP, anchor previous high there, and then you had a false along there. So, I mean, this one's kind of goofy because there's not a good stretch in the market and a couple false little green candles there, but this is currently where we expect markets to pop back to, right about there. I mean, it's very, very small stuff. Like I said, when the market doesn't range very well, then you're just kind of looking at these awkward little things like that. But ding, 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 ding. Random little micro pop back target complete. How do we know? Because obviously, I mean, the candle only had to go up like 5 cents. Well, I was looking and they had an anchor job in London. Don't think I'm going to be going there. So, nothing quite up the alley that I'd be looking for there, unfortunately. That's alright. I guess I'll just have to sit here in my own office. It's 10:47. It's almost 11 o'clock. What's that mean? That means markets are most likely getting ready to slow down. We've had most of the fun movement for the day. And, yeah. You know, that's about that. All right, well, that's been fun. So I'm going to take a second, see if just so happens there's anything good moving. Down, 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 bring it down. Down, 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 bring it down. Down, 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 bring it down. Is there anything good? Anything good? Oh, interesting. Yep, still use standard deviation. Yep, like right now, for example, the market has been trading in the +1, so it's not really a good time to be getting long markets for if you are considering long-term investing. Generally speaking, you want to participate when the markets are trading in the -1 standard deviation zone and or lower, which they're currently not. I could double check, but I think they're trading in maybe like plus 0.5. We use it on SPRB to predict, well, where a supernova breakout would be, the pull. But so yeah, we still use it. You just don't see it as frequent on my chart because, you know, I don't necessarily use it for everything anymore. But yeah, pretty much I just use it for extremes now and the basics of the stock market. So if we're trading -1, you should be buying. If we're not, then you're just chilling. But then again, if you're dollar cost averaging it, you're going to buy wherever, whenever. But if you're looking for, you know, buying things when they're on sale, you're always buying if they're at -1 or -2, etc. SMAs are more about trend. Standard deviation is more about value. So volume weighted average price is, you know, obviously about VWAP trend. But yeah, so you pretty much see me view VWAP, SMA, some Fibonacci, and standard deviation and SMAs. And so, again, SMA's trend, VWAP is about people's volume, and then standard deviation is more about statistical value. So, over the years, I've learned how to better categorize those and how and when I think they're of use. Oh, obviously you take VWAP anchor previous high. You already know. Where's he gonna go? Right to that previous one right there. All right. Obviously, the VIX is not breaking out the 30 minutes, so it's kind of rejecting a little bit. That's why you're probably slowing down in this bottom, along with some of the market internals probably not quite selling off too aggressively in the moment. Yeah, pretty much that. I'm going to bring down the VIX real quick just to emphasize the point we made about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes ago, which we basically said. All right, so what's the first thing the VIX would do? So the VIX rejects 30-minute, pulls back, first trend to back test, 1 minute right there. So there's your 1 minute uptrend, hit 30-minute, pull back to 1 minute right there. Again, pretty basic stuff. No crash yet. Bitcoin, not really doing a whole lot. Pretty basic stuff. SPX, almost nearing the over-under. Where's the 1 hour? Let's see, 1 hour is... Whoa, that's wild. Again, right now, even though the VIX isn't breaking out the 30-minute, as we talked about a little bit ago, markets are still sliding down. There isn't really, again, enough bullishness in the market to prevent the slide. And as a result, again, it's kind of expected we can see this market down closer to that 50 SMA. Generally speaking, whenever the market gets really close to the 50 SMA, a lot of times it's gravitated to it. But anyways, yeah, you'll probably witness it. QQQ not even close, SPX not close, DJX. So there's no, well, DJX did, I guess. That's not going to be enough, though. No. Again, right here, that green line, this is the 50 SMA. So again, you pretty much expect market to sell down towards that 50 SMA over under. Same thing with the SPY. SPY come down to 50 SMA over under. So this is where the market's going to get its opportunity to basically break down or not. And when I say break down, that means a transition of the 30 minutes. So if we zoom out, again, don't be so zoomed in, if you will. So let's see. Ready? So when did we start the long bias swing long? Back here. Market is positive. Today, the market's been weak. We've pulled it all the way back down to the 50 SMA. So for a downtrend to start, market will, need acceptance below. Okay? That does not mean a downtrend's just going to start. That usually doesn't happen. Markets usually don't just come to the 50 SMA and then just go like that. They'll usually break down a little bit and then go up and back test and then maybe stay down and blah, blah, blah. So it's never a really straightforward thing. Excuse me. And like I said before, basically if you're going to trust a breakdown in the market, you want the VIX to be breaking out the 30-minute and the SPY to be breaking down the 30-minute. Right now we just have the markets coming below the 50 SMA. We do not yet have the VIX confirming it with it breaking out the 50 SMA yet. All right. Do 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 do. Oh, my bad. No sound. Oh, Snikes. It doesn't really matter. It's just market broke down the 50 SMA. You've seen volatility break out, blah, blah, blah. You're neutral to the market now. You're not swing long, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all the same story, guys. You guys know. But I was just saying, you can see it clearly. Ready? Like we said, well, yeah. Well, you didn't hear what I said, but. So what do we know? We know what? We know the market just did what? We know the market just broke down the 50 SMA. So we're not long the markets anymore. We're not long, okay? And when I say we're not long, it's it's in regards to this system. So we are no longer swing long. We are now neutral, the stock market. The reason I say neutral is because that's the safest play. The safest play is to be neutral, not participating bearish. Okay? The aggressive play is to be bearish below the 50 SMA, right? So we're no longer long bias, swing long. We're only long bias counter trend dips. We're only long bias oversold markets, reversals, etc. Those are the trading strategies you have to work with now. It's not swing long. It's not higher low, higher high. You're now counter long traders if you're long bias. You're reversal traders if you're long bias, but you're not positive trend swing bias long. But anyways, like we said before, markets can only do what? They can only go up and they can only go down. So what did we just do? We just did what? We just broke down the 30-minute. So now that the 30-minute on the market is broken down and it's negative, it only has two options. Either it has to go into a downtrend or it has to go into an uptrend. And along deciding those two things, it either has to go down or it has to go into an uptrend. It can stay bearish, what? Below the 50 SMA. So there's only two plays. Market just sells off or backtest 50 SMA here. That's it. And what you may have not heard was when we break down the 50 SMA, what do? We anchor a 1 minute volume weighted average price to the breakdown location. Now we're tracking the volume weighted average price of that 30-minute 50 SMA breakdown. So on the 1 minute, we are testing the volume weighted average price of that breakdown. If there's meant to be extreme selling and momentum, generally what we're going to do is we're going to hold here, resistance, and then we go into a sell-off. If there's not that much strong momentum, we don't hold this and we go back and test the 50 SMA. That's very intricate, but that's what I've learned. Pretty much if any buy signal or any sell move that just starts below the 50 or above the 50, it must hold the 1 and the 5-minute VWAP of the break to have good continuation. If it doesn't, then we reset it back to the 50. So that's pretty much what we're working on, is essentially 1 minute resistance right now. And then if we hold this, great. If not, then we just reset 50. But like I said before, you're no longer long bias the market. Your best play is to be neutral, and your aggressive play is to be bearish. All right. Now you might be asking, well, Connor, why weren't we bearish up here? We were. We said it all day. The market internals are bearish. There's nothing that's really bullish. There's nothing that's really bullish. We've just flipped below the 30-minute here. So as it relates to the 30-minute SMA system, we just now went bearish to neutral, regardless of the action that happened earlier today. All right. My bad about the sound. But anyways, there you go. So we're just doing the 1 minute VWAP rejection, trade, sell move right now. Again, pretty basic stuff. And when I say it's basic, it's just because I've just seen it so many times over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's just basic at this point. Now, for the average person, they'd have zero clue what's going on. But yeah. So again, if we don't just stay bearish here, we're going to reset the 50 SMA, which is 670.23. We're going to do it both on SPX and or SPY. That's kind of it. We do have to, there's one other like last little thing, which is pretty much the 5 minute. So you have to watch the 5 minute, but in this situation, I don't think it's going to be. The 5 minute's basically the same price as the 50 SMA. So we're arguably looking for a back test of that 5 minute to that 50 SMA there on the short term counter long kind of scenario, if you will. Obviously, if you guys anchor previous lows here, you can see exactly where we're supporting the market right there. Again, so that's your 1 minute support. And then obviously you have your VWAP off previous low. So this is just how they're going to be moving markets and kind of the immediate right there. What a crazy day. Again, pretty straightforward. Not a whole lot to say. Again, you know exactly what the market's trying to do. It's trying to back test the 50 SMA, which is again priced at about 670.14. Oh my gosh, voila, there it is, your back test. Even though it hasn't truly hit, it's pretty much done. What time? 11:30. Cuckoo.
watching.
Oh yeah, sorry guys. I know I'm not really saying a whole lot. Again, not really a whole lot to say. We just know, obviously, that markets are neutral now. We're no longer bullish markets. And now we're just pretty much going to play the waiting game for the next buy signal. Like I said, you can be aggressive. You can play short, which would be like TQQ or SQQ. Some of your inverse ETFs. You can be bearish futures, bearish I mean, do whatever you want to do. I just followed a trend myself. So, like I said, I'll go back long the markets when we go back into a buy signal and VIX breaks down. So, yeah. Probably end the stream there. We're doing a pretty good job keeping everybody on the right side of the trend today. Again, pretty much recommending that we're macro long with a bearish intraday momentum. As a result, we've reset markets all the way down to the 50 SMA. We've even broke them down. So you're just kind of neutral or doing a counter long trade right now back to the 50 SMA, so on and so forth. Other than that, everyone have a good day. We'll be back on tomorrow to pretty much do the same thing over and over and over. And yeah, cheers.